today, and I just thought we all thought that it would be really wonderful to hear from some of you about your experience working with the district, working towards conserving natural resources, and how that all works when you're all trying to have productive farms. So, turns out it's really hard to get dairy farmers to stand up in front of a crowd. So I just really appreciate all of you who are willing to come up here. I know I spoke with some other folks who, it's just not something that everybody wants to do, is to stand up and talk in front of their peers. So I really appreciate that you all are willing to do that. So how this is going to work, it's kind of a little bit of a quiz show format. We just have a series of questions, and we'll just go down the line. We might, start in this direction and then work our way back to it, since you're not always the first one answering every question. But we are running a little bit late on our schedule, so I just want to remind everybody we'll have 1 to 2 minutes for each answer. So, our first question, I'm just going to ask you to just briefly introduce yourselves, share a little bit about your farm, your background, and your favorite thing about being a dairy farmer.
So I'm Suzzi Snydar. My husband Jeff and I raise dairy replacement heifers on the Hampton Road. Jeff started growing cows in high school, and I started growing cows when I married Jeff. So I was a town girl. I didn't grow up on the farm. So we also have a custom harvesting operation where we harvest for dairy farmers in the county.
Leroy Plagerman, our family operates a couple dairies in Whatcom County here, and we all do that.
Your favorite thing about being a
Yeah,
dairy farmer?
did you say that?
Oh, I missed it. It's okay, you go.
I thought you missed that. I think the favorite thing about dairy farming for us is like today, we can always learn something new in dairy, and how we can apply it to our farms, and how we can do better, be more efficient, and just do a better job of what we do. And for us, it's been a joy to raise a family on a dairy, and to see them involved in the livelihood we can provide to a lot of families that are working on our farms. So we enjoy that.
Thank you. My name is Galen Smith. I'm a member of Coldstream Farms. We have a dairy up in the Deming-Hackney area. We milk about 1,700 cows. My father-in-law, Jeff Rainey, started the dairy in 1978, and we have 4 partners on the dairy today. Myself, my father-in-law, my brother Brad, who's with me today, and then a sister-in-law. So it's really great to be able to farm with family, but it also creates some challenges at times, and we still have to sit down and have dinner together. So we're pretty mindful how we treat each other. Probably one of my favorite things, or I guess all-encompassing about dairy, is passion for animals, the outdoors, equipment, and the challenges of solving problems on a daily basis. So I enjoy that, and it's been rewarding.
Larry Stap. I dairy north of Linden here with my son-in-law and daughter, Mark and Michelle Tolson. Dairy was started back in 1910 by my great-grandfather. So I'm 4th generation. Mark and Michelle represent 5th generation on the farm, of which we're very proud of that heritage. My favorite thing about farming is having the kids, and especially the grandkids on the farm. I always tell my wife, she doesn't agree with me, but if I would have known how much joy grandkids made, I would have had more kids.
Thanks, everyone. So our first question is, what does conservation mean to you, and why does it matter? We'll start with you.
Conservation is pretty simple. It's all about stewardship. We in our dairy have developed a mission statement which encompasses that, and it drives our decision making, and it's really quite simple. We are a family-owned and operated dairy that exists to glorify God through the stewardship of the land and the animals that He's entrusted to our care. That's our mission.
Yeah, great answer. Conservation for us is looking forward into the future and realizing that there are generations of farmers that are yet to come. And so every day and every decision that we make, we have to make that with that in the back of our mind, that we need to leave today better than when we started for tomorrow and for future generations, whether that's through future technologies or applications or management practices, but always being open to new ideas and spending the time to attend functions like this today, to read documentations, to attend other meetings and find a better solution to not only maintain our economic viability, but take care of those buzzwords like renewable resources and stewardship. So those things are really important of being a good conservationalist and steward of the land.
Yeah, I really appreciated Larry's vision statement there, and I totally agree that God's placed us here to be stewards, and we all are entrusted with things, whether it's our time or talents or resources that He gives us, and how do we use those to glorify Him and do that? And as dairy farmers, we're entrusted with land and animals, and how do we get the most out of that acre of land, the most crop produced, in the most efficient manner? The opposite of conservation is waste, and we don't want to waste things. And nutrients is one of them, and maybe it means applying more things, commercial fertilizer or something like that is needed to get the most out of that unit of land. But we're called to do the best that we can, and we will give it down. So.
Those were all great answers. I'll say ditto. And also, conservation for me is just, having our eyes wide open every day on the land that we work and being aware how we're contributing across the board, being aware of how we're stewarding our resources for the good each and every day. And, the 300 acres Jeff and I farm, it's awesome to see the condition our home place was when we bought it in 2000, and how fruitful it is now, and just what a wonderful place it is, and that's all through stewardship and hard work. So it's just really a blessing to get to see that each and every day.
Thank you, Susie, and everyone. So the next question, what is a nutrient management challenge that you have had, and what is a unique approach that you have adopted to address it?
I would say a challenge I have observed, I don't haul manure on the farm, Jeff and the guys do that, but I know when the weather is adverse and we have to make key choices on where we go with manure, if it's on higher ground and big setbacks, but being fully aware of what we're doing.
I think one of the challenges we had years ago on our farm was the amount of shavings that we were hauling in, bedding with shavings, and the crust that we put on the lagoon trying to get that in, and then applying it to your fields. And we talked about thick manure being good. Well, there's a point where thick manure is not so good for the ground. And we would choke our ground out with all the shavings and volume of that. So we did a couple of things. We started doing more separation to pull the solids out, but we also switched to sand bedding to haul a lot less of that solids in, and that really helped our application.
I think one of the nutrient management problems we have and continue to have, and are trying to find better solutions, is uniquely geographically where we're at in the Deming-Acton area. We get twice as much rain. We can get 60 to 80 inches of rain, even up to 100 inches of rain in an annual year. Creates issues when you have a lagoon storage space of 10, 12 feet, and you have 6 feet of rainwater in there. You don't have a whole lot of storage capacity left for nutrients. So now all of a sudden we're trucking and hauling diluted nutrients at a high cost with a low return to land down the road. One of the approaches that we have taken is we've put in a biolink system to reuse our water to flush and keep our alleys and farmstead clean. We have installed screw presses, and to remove the solids, we've tried to maximize the amount of coverage that we have over all of our buildings to reduce the amount of rainwater that actually makes it in. And currently we're working on a clean water project to actually extract the nutrients from the water and return the water either back to a groundwater source or to the river. So trying to do a few of those things uniquely and solve one of the issues that we tend to deal with.
Well, we got always challenges on the farm, there's no doubt about that, but I'm going to present a little different aspect of nutrient management challenges. It's educating the public about how we actually handle it. And I've taken a lot of opportunities to bring college classes, government regulatory officials, Olympia on up the line to my farm to really explain to them what goes on. They have no clue. I mean, people always thought milk was regulated, but I said manure is probably just as bad or more regulated than milk.
Next question, what do you think are the biggest barriers for your peers and or industry in adopting improved manure management practices? We'll start with you this time, Larry.
Well, I can't speak for all of you. You have to make your own decision, but for me personally, it happened 15, 20 years ago. I don't remember exactly when. But when I came to recognize that manure is an asset, not a liability. And when you can create that thought process in your head, it kind of holds it. It changes your forward-looking scope of how you handle things and what you're doing. Because I've got some tanks and they're full of manure, and when they're full, they're not a liability. They're worth tens of thousands of dollars to me in nutrients. So just think of it that way. I guess that's more of a challenge for some of you than anything.
I think one of the challenges often, and we see it in industry in years past where we struggle with low milk prices, is, you know, regulation continues to creep up on us, and we can do a lot of things. There's a lot of fantastic technologies out there, but they take money. And to do that, these systems have to be evaluated, they have to be proven. It's tough to, in a losing market, to go out and invest in unproven technology. And so that can be really scary. So, you know, opportunities through the conservation district, through the state conservation, through federal funding, you know, to take advantage and use some of these tools that are there to help us find solutions is probably the right direction, but it takes a lot of time and it takes effort to go through the paperwork and find the financing and the resources to do it. So streamlining some of that, but not being afraid to say, you know what, I'm going to wade through some of the paperwork to try and come up with a workable solution.
I think a couple of challenges, one of them would be, along with what Galen said, is just having the money and the finances to throw at your nutrient management. Because sometimes we have really short windows in which we can get manure on, or we get a crop off and we try to get that all done. Well, with enough people and enough resources, you can get it done, but time is a factor, and qualified labor to run everything can be a challenge. So I think that's it. I think the other challenge is just the amount of record keeping that you trying to keep that up to date and to know exactly what you put on in your nutrient level. That's really interesting hearing about that live nutrients as you're putting that on. But if we could get that dialed in better to make it easier, and I really appreciate the work that you do for us farmers to try to make that so that we can record and keep better record keeping. But I think that's a challenge for our farm, is just keeping those records really accurate.
So I think coming at this from our farm experience, in the day before we replaced our lagoon, right? Like, you don't know what you don't know. And so when we started looking at ways to improve our manure storage, and we became aware of the programs in place and cost share and federal funding, you know, what started out as well, we can't do anything to change this problem, all of a sudden there was a viable option of something that we could do. And it wasn't until we started asking hard questions and went to the CD and were made aware of all the programs, right? And it was like, oh wow, this is attainable. Like, we can facilitate this good change. So I would say something that holds people back is not asking the hard questions maybe, and not seeking assistance or an answer to an honest question. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Really good one. So our last, or second to last if we have time, question is name one short-term and one long-term way that working with the Conservation District has benefited your farm. We'll start with you again, Suzzi. I know it's kind of links to you.
It's okay. So short term, just this last winter, so we had some interesting water samples in our watershed, and so I called Meg, and she came and walked my ditches with me because I was like, do I have a problem? I don't think I have a problem, but I'm concerned I have a problem. And so Meg came and took water samples for me and confirmed that I didn't have a problem, but gave me that peace of mind, so which was wonderful. Long term, I am thrilled with the assistance we have received through the CD and NRCS over the years, and just the transformation that our farm has taken with their assistance. You know, we have our upright manure storage, underground conveyance, a splash plate, and just how much simpler things are now with the improved technology. And the record keeping, yes, can be PETA, pain in the ass. But Jeff has gotten really good. He makes a note in his phone and gives it to me, and I put it over on the calendar. So it's a great workaround.
Short term was one, we started another farm this year, and the Conservation District was very involved with writing a nutrient management plan. Dakota here, I think that was the first one she did, and that was awesome. She put a lot of work into that, and it's required, so it was very, very appreciated. Long term, what the Conservation District has done is several equipped things. It's made it a lot more efficient and practical for our nutrient application. Main lines is a big one, getting manure to your field so you can get it on efficiently with pumps and just numerous things, and the separation of the solids out. It's really, really helped our farms over the year to be more efficient with our nutrient management.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna ditto exactly what both of you guys said. A lot of our short-term, I say short-term solutions, have come from long-term conversations that you don't know what you don't know. And as we have conversations, as technologies change and evolve, new discussions are had, whether it's implementing a filtration script, whether it's putting in an underground pipeline for line loss and carbon emissions and efficiencies, whether it's splash bar equipment, whether it's separation equipment. We are very, very fortunate here, and I don't know how many people in the room know this, that we have a tremendous wealth of information, people that are willing to work for us in the Conservation District and the NRCS. As I've traveled around and talked with other farmers around our state, around other states, they don't have those same opportunities. So I would highly recommend getting into the office and asking what you don't know, because they are more than willing and ready to sit down and talk to you about it. So there's opportunities to improve on every single one of our farms, and keeping our head up and asking the hard questions, sometimes how do we solve this problem. There's a bunch of people here ready to help, and there's programs in place to help with the cost. So ask the questions.
Really can't add a whole lot more than what they've already said, other than tell my little personal story a little bit. But our work with the Conservation District probably started in full force when we wanted to remove an earthen lagoon that was 20 feet away from a roadside ditch that flowed into the Fish Trap Creek, that flowed into the Mexac River, that flowed into the shellfish bed, right? They said they don't need a liability like that, so we, Conservation District, helped us design and fund through NRCS upright tank. And those things just led or opened the door to more and more relationships that you have with the staff. We have since decommissioned 4 lagoons and put 4 tanks up. Just wonderful. And it's also helped, as I say, in the relationships. We're doing some research projects with the Conservation District now. As they all said, until you ask, you don't know what you don't know. And that's so true.
Okay, I think we have time for our bonus question. What is the next challenge that you hope to tackle on your farm? We'll start the last round.
Retire. But that's probably not in the short career. You know, I guess there's no real big projects that we got thinking about, but we're looking at putting more, as Gail said, some underground conveyance lines for applications. Very interesting on irrigation. We're all we've ever known. We just throw a gun out there when it looks like it's getting a little dry. maybe there's a little more science to apply to that kind of stuff. But there's just, I guess, getting in what we said earlier, it's what you don't know, and maybe there'll be some big projects that'll come up in the future, but technology keeps changing, environmental regulations keep changing, so yeah, we just always look for opportunities.
I think that's exactly it, Larry, being open for opportunities. We don't really necessarily have a next project or plan that we're looking to tackle. We have a vision. And so with that in mind, as opportunities come, as farmers, for a lot of years, we were able to take advantage of cheap grain prices. We trade cash back and forth between the grain farmers, and anymore we have to become better and better farmers. And the Conservation District, NRCS, is bringing us tools and technology that we can implement on our farms to be better and better and utilize the resources that we have in a more responsible and more efficient way. And that's the vision that we work toward, to try to have a successful business that we can pass on to the next generation.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges that kind of came out today was the amount of water that we have in our lagoons at the beginning of the year, when we really would like thicker manure to go like on our corn ground and so. And I'd love to get that dialed in better, that we could have a source of thicker manure for where we want to. And whether that's through above ground storage or somehow to tackle that is what we'd like to do. And then I think there's always challenges for how can you make your manure system more efficient. We have a farm that we'd like to put a different type of sand separation in, that we can capture the sand without wearing out as many pumps and having the issues that you do have with it. So there's never a lack of challenges.
True story, never a lack of challenges. I think producing more animals on your footprint that you have, I think that's the next big challenge facing us. So working with the land base we have and growing the calves and the heifers and increasing numbers and stewarding the land we have well so it's efficiently done, and to go successfully into the future and the next generation.